Yeah, I think so. It
I
says
think we're
live
live.
on the screen.
It says live on the screen, yeah. Let me just quickly double check. Why is it not? Here we go. I think we're live. Beautiful, fantastic. Hi guys, welcome to the first AG event of 2023. We're going to hold off a couple of more minutes and allow folks to join in, and we'll crack on. Jack, while we wait, we know that you're always traveling, always visiting the world and introducing people to Web3. Where are you right now?
I'm finally back in Tokyo. Just got back yesterday from spending about a month in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, met some very cool people over there in Web3. Lots of exciting things actually. It's a little bit untapped in that region, but there's actually quite a lot of very productive work over there. Like that, I think will bring in real adoption.
That's very
There's
cool.
quite a lot of niche that's really untapped, and people not actually they completely overlooking a lot of areas, which is interesting. So some of those projects, I mean, escape room is one, right?
All right, okay.
I mean, no one thought how big the escape room market is, and one of the project EIM Lab, they're basically focusing on that, and they basically have the licenses for majority of the franchises.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically it's just them in that market.
Yeah, well,
quite
it's
interesting.
To see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. That's cool. Yeah, we'll wait for a couple more minutes. Fantastic. Well, we can see people actually joining all around the globe. Someone, oh my God, for someone it's 3 a.m. I mean, people want to listen. What do you have to say, Jack? That's clear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hopefully we don't disappoint, huh?
Hopefully. Guys, just for anyone who already joined, feel free to drop any questions in the comment section. We'll try to approach them and sort of get the mixture of the pre-submitted questions that we got from the community and anything that you drop into the chat. I have a request. Please post some challenging questions. We've got Jack live. Let's get some answers. Okay. I think it's okay to start. If not, people will join in and we'll continue. So, guys, thank you very much again for joining the first AG Live event of 2023. Last year, goes without saying, was a challenging year for the industry, and despite a massive uncertainty, AG has kept its focus and kept doing what we do best, is building the products and getting them out through the door. Now, if you follow our Medium account or any social media accounts, you probably noticed that in Q4 of last year, we sort of pushed out quite a few products, and we're sure that you have quite a few questions around that. And before we actually jump in terms of the structure, we'll go product by product and we'll approach all the questions that we got submitted, as well as pick up some from the chat. But before we jump in, Jack, I wanted to ask, would you be able just to give a quick update of where AG was? Now, it goes without saying that throughout the year we found we took a slightly different routes from the original way. At the beginning, AG has focused on play to earn solely. So would you be just to give a quick update where the company stand and the diversion from the original path that we've taken?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting, right? Because a lot of people know us in different way. And originally, of course, we start on the gaming side with play to earn. But if you really take a look at our vision from the beginning, that was just one of the sector we're focusing on, right? Because as everyone understood in Web3, I mean, for people to really come in, they need to have something to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's either through investment, which basically DeFi, or gaming, right?
Yeah.
So we chose our battle because back then when we started, I mean, gaming was one of those areas that was basically booming, right?
Yep.
So while we work on building on our guilds, at which we got to over 2,000 players, right? We at the same time kind of build a foundation on all the software that we built in house, so that we can build everything else on top, right? So 2022 was really the year of the foundational products for us, right? Meta ones as well. When people see it as a wallet, there's actually a lot that went into it, right? And I would say Meta one itself is pretty much a like combination between maybe 7 to 8 products, and it will increase even more, right? So and when people think that we pivot to something else, it's more like we zero into really solving the problem that we see in GameFi, right? Which is onboarding. So there's that one side. Then we also found that there's a lot of issue with infrastructure in Web3 in general, right? And it's just become very restricted for game studio to build things. And that's why we're going to build in the search engine, building a bunch of other components. And I remember back in around October, right, when we had an embargo on our Q3 update, and and I remember people were like, "Why are you building AAG Academy? Why are you building all these different products like Dapsol and all that, right? Why don't you just use existing ones?" And I mean, there was a clear answer to that, but and a lot of time what people see is they see all these silo product that are not related to each other, right? And and it was that update that really got a lot of people to understand what we're trying to do. Because when you have all these different products and you turn it this way, right? All of a sudden it makes sense because you have the foundation, but like for example, blockchain security is literally just one single component, right? And something like MetaMask or even Ledger wallet, and those are not what we consider safe. Whenever there's holes, it has to be plugged so that people actually basically feel safe coming in, right? And that's why building all these different layers on top really help make people feel safer. We help making sure that they really take ownership of their own assets, right? And also at the same time, with AG Academy, they understand what they can do and what they when they do things, they understand how it works, right? Because in the end, I mean, education is everything. Once you know what you're doing, you most likely will be more careful and really keep yourself safer that way. But anyway, so I think we're gonna be talking a lot about all these different topics as we answer these questions.
That's cool. Beautiful. Thanks for the update, Jack. Brilliant. So guys, before we jump in, as I said, if you follow us, you probably saw that we released Meta One Wallet, Meta One API, Sakura Metaverse, Sakura Blockchain, Very Search Engine, Riskcore API, and last but not least, AG Academy. So there has been a lot of action going on. And let's approach with the first one, and I think the product that got a lot of traction and interest in the market, which is Meta One Wallet. So the first question that we got is very straightforward and very cool question. There are 100 wallets available. Why did AG decided to make a wallet in this oversaturated market?
Yeah, that's actually a very good and valid question, right? Because I mean, if we felt like there was a wallet that's good enough in the market, we would have used it. The problem that we saw spot very, very early on was that in our guild, right, with thousands of people, a lot of people got scammed very early on. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell them. And even when they went to our Facebook page, they got scammed because there's all these scammers that go and post comments and all that, right? Like send 0.1 BTC, you'll get back 0.3 BTC. I mean, it's too good to be true, but not everyone understands that it is actually too good to be true, right? Because people see that, I mean, the NFT, all these things, all this speculative asset, like it's too good to be true, but it happened. So people just assume that this is how it works sometimes, right? And that's why we end up having to again back to building multiple layers of security, right? None of the wallets was safe enough so that we built something that allow user to do self custody, right? Take an ownership of what they own instead of having to put it on centralized exchanges, which of course, as you can see back in 22 with all this FTX issue, all sorts of exchange to DeFi protocol, right? So I think it will come down to people like having a way to safely self custody their assets, right? A way for people to discover what they can do with it, and yeah, I think it has to go from there. It's come down to this: we need to build it because there's nothing out there that we can really use to bring in mainstream users.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the questions you've mentioned about custody. So I remember seeing in the community question always popping up: is Meta One a self-custody wallet? And yeah, what is the is it self-custody wallet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. So again, let me first define what self-custody mean, right? Self-custody mean you essentially take ownership of your own asset and no one else can touch it.
Yes.
Right. So that's how self-custody is defined. Now there are non-custodial, and also custodial, right? So now there are wallet like MetaMask, for example, where you manage your own security literally from the beginning, seed phrases and all that, right?
Yep.
Now you can get this assisted self-custody, or in some way you can call it custodial wallet, right? Which essentially, which now there's two types of those as well. There's a type that you don't actually have ownership of your asset, right? It goes into database somewhere, and when you withdraw, you can get it out. But for our case, everything's always done on chain, right? There's all full visibility. We cannot touch it, and only user can really do it. But what we do is we help them make it easier from the security perspective.
Okay.
Right now, in the future, we'll also allow people to export out their private key if they really, really want to. Right, because of course there's going to be concern where, okay, what happened if AAG goes away? What happened to some of our partners like Circle goes away, right? So we want to make sure that everyone understand they have full control of their asset, and even if AAG or any of our partner goes away, they will have a way to get their asset out, right? Because in the end, like, we're here for long term, but of course anything could happen, and we plan everything exactly for that. So that this answer, I mean, it should be straightforward. Do I own my asset? Yes. Can AAG or any of our partners touch that asset? No. Right? If AAG goes away, what happened to my asset? They should really take it out, and that's absolutely something we're absolutely going to guarantee.
Okay, that's very good to know. Fantastic. Cool. Following question, very interesting one. What is AG token role in this product, and is there any role for AG token within the Meta One?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for every single one of our products, it's going to be AG token involved in some way, right? Because, and I mean, first of all, it's a utility token, and as much as we can find utility for it, we'll do it. And you can already see if you're part of the Meta One contest, right? I mean, if you have at least 100 AAG token, it can only be used for the point, so that you can use it to win the prize of the $5,000, right? So there's that one already. Now, there are a bunch of other usages inside Meta One, which, I mean, we can't really go into details yet until their launch, right? Because it could be considered like speculative and all that. But for sure, there'll be at least 2 or 3 ways per product that the AG token will be used, including even our Genesis NFT as well. Everything that we have issued so far will be used as part of our products to provide benefits, or even just used for like payment and that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Jack. And talking about access to Meta One, now, when I was, I'm not gonna lie, when I was actually registering myself, and you know, in terms of when it comes to the phone number, you know, I don't have a pay. I got a pay to go. So basically, if I lose my SIM, I don't really have access to that phone number. And I was thinking, what if the worst case scenario happens, and you, as a person, you know, you've registered Meta One with a specific, you know, your email, your phone number, and let's say you lose the device and you lose access, you know, to the email address, as well as the phone number. So I guess this is where AG comes into play and will assist to get access to the account, because that is something that obviously with MetaMask you wouldn't be able to do. If you lose the seed phrase, that's it, you're done. So how does this work? Are we going to get stuck if we're going to lose access to the, you know, main device, or can this be resolved somehow?
So for us, basically, there is absolutely no way to lose access to your asset. That's one thing we always strive to do, right? So let me run through a few cases where this has been an issue in the crypto industry, right? MetaMask, and actually any wallet in general that use seed phrases, or all these mobile wallet, let's say on iPhone, right? One of the problem that has happened recently, including happened to me, is that most of these wallet now, and they all actually should go in the direction. Basically, they don't store any of this information in iCloud anymore, right? Because if iCloud get hacked, which it did, right, a lot of people lost their asset. Okay, so because of that, MetaMask, for example, does not store any information like on iCloud anymore. Now, if you don't know that, right, and you assume that when you go and buy a new phone and transfer the data, everything will transfer over, right? You would have made that mistakes, because nothing get transferred over. Now, if you do a trade-in at the store and you wipe out your phone right there, and you don't have your seed phrase, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's those cases. Now, hardware wallet has similar issue. Hardware wallet now is still, I mean, because there's a way to recover, right? I mean, if you lose your hardware wallet when you travel and all that, I mean, if you as long as you have your seed phrase, you can still recover. The problem is because you have your seed phrase, even if you haven't lost your hardware wallet, if someone get a hold of your seed phrases, you still going to lose your asset, right?
Yeah.
And that is an issue. When you talk about security, it has to be absolute, right?
Yeah.
When there's a hole somewhere, something can go wrong. And I don't know, man. If you have to be paranoid about the asset you have, and let's say the bull market comes back, your $1,000 turned to be $1 million, and now
Yeah.
you can no longer go to sleep because you worry someone gonna like take your asset away. That's not how mainstream adoption gonna happen.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm already paranoid. I mean, losing access wouldn't be something that I would like to happen. Jack, one of the things that I remember when developing the product Meta one of the key factors was the usability aspect, and that AG has tried to make an application which is as intuitive as possible, and all sort of ranges of people can use it, and it's eliminating that sort of technical savvy aspect of having that crypto wallet. And I remember multiple times it has been mentioned that Meta One can even be suitable for people of young age, and there's going to be some sort of implementations of parent and control. So, would you be able to explain a little bit what is that going to be about? How parents will be able to control? Is there going to be just if you could break it down, that'd be grand.
Yeah, for sure, right? So again, let's go back to how this got started, right? So when we had our guild, the problem that we see is that, I mean, we have people from specified demographics, right? In our guild, we started off from 18 to 75. That 75-year-old grandmother is now 76, right? So then we start talking to all these different, institution, metaverses, education platform, and now it has gone to 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
So the problem that is from kids' perspective, I mean, a lot of adults also, they don't really understand how to manage their own finance, right? For kids, they don't even understand how much money is worth.
Yeah.
So because of that, I mean, there has been certain suggestion. For example, they say, hey, why don't you just give $10 to your kid, and then they can just learn from that, right? But the thing is, in crypto, $10 can turn to be like $200,000 the next day if you hit a jackpot, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a parent, you should be happy, right? Now, okay, your kid is set for college. Like, you don't have to go and pick out your tuition for all that. But your kid doesn't know. So it's like, hey, now I'm just going to go shopping, buying NFT, buying candy, whatever, right? So now to make parents feel like they have a little bit of control and to help their kid manage their finance, I think something like some kind of workflow has to be there, like parental control, for example, right?
Yeah.
And like the cases, I had people suggest as well to use multi-sig wallet.
Okay.
One thing that does not make sense here is that multi-sig wallet always require, let's say, the parent to sign off, right? So even if the kid wants to spend $1, right? Why do you care, right? If the kid, let's say, you can, like the way it should work is that you should be able to set a limit of, say, maximum $5 to $10 per day, right? And your kid can go and do whatever they want, right? You don't need to basically sign off all the time. Now, if your kid want to, let's say, go to school, have to buy school supply, now they want to spend $30. That's when you come in. When you go over the $10 threshold, you will get a notification as a parent. You basically can sign off, and that's how it should work, right? So you slowly ease in your kid, provide all this protection. Now, when you talk about this scenario, it does not even apply to just kids. Just imagine you have a lot of money in crypto wallet, right? And let's say you lose your phone or whatever happened, right? Now the hackers or the thief basically trying to, let's say, transfer $1,000 from your wallet. You can actually set that threshold so that if you want to send over $1,000, now your wife also has to approve it, right? So now we have this workflow to kind of help safeguard so that in an event that somehow the hacker, the thief have access to your phone and everything, even your face, right? Let's say you get drunk, you like basically pass out at a party, someone has your phone. If you use MetaMask, you lose everything.
That's true.
Right? That is something we need to like prevent. And even the current implementation of Meta One, you can also already feel safe because you need your memory. So if you're unconscious, no one can take something from you, right?
Yeah.
So that we already start from there, and that's why we think our wallet is already one of the most secure wallets out there.
Okay, that's good to know. And Jack, when can users expect the parental control to to kick in terms of as the feature itself? Is this something for next year, for this year? When are we looking?
Definitely this year. So right now we're aiming sometime in Q1, right? So that's where we're aiming for right now. So let's see. I think we can get there.
Okay, that's good. Another question. So just sort of from usability perspective, I can see the question actually popping up around that as well. Transaction fees, Meta One transaction fees. What is going on with that? Is it going to be expensive to
transaction fee? I mean, if we talk about gas fee, if we talk about like Meta One transaction fee, we don't charge anything on top, right? You just have to pay the gas fee to transfer. That I mean, there's nothing we can do. Okay. Now, but we just make it more convenient for you, right? So let's say when we introduce our swap feature, you basically can swap directly from Meta One, so you don't have to send it out to an exchange, do a swap, and then send it back. So we will facilitate and make it easier. Now, on the gas fee side, this is now on top of not so much on Meta One, right? So since we basically launched our own blockchain as well called Sakura. So the idea there is that there should be the gas fee is one of the obstacle for mainstream adoption, right? So imagine this scenario where let's say you go to a restaurant like Chipotle, right? And your Web2 users never heard of wallet, and they say, hey, by the way, you can mint a Chipotle gift card or Chipotle membership card, right? Now you're gonna go in, they're gonna ask you to download the wallet, right? Then you basically, if they're on Ethereum, then you need to have gas fee to go and mint the token. I mean, if that's the case, right, there's two things that's definitely going to happen. Like your customer is going to basically take up all the space in the place, right? Because they're trying to figure all this out. Second, a lot of them will drop off because it's like, hey, okay, you're going to give me this NFT, but now I have to go and figure out, I need to have money to go and buy gas fee so they can mint, right? These are things that are very, very silly. And I think that's why when we have our own blockchain, a lot of this friction will be eliminated. We'll, along with some of our other products like Meta One Connect, which will allow basically for these applications for these businesses to come up with their own custom onboarding form, onboarding flow as well, to just make things easier.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I don't want to stick to only to Meta One because we have only a couple of other products to have a look at. So just I want to close down on Meta One. We'll be able to come back if people will have questions on live. But what is, as it stands right now, we've published the schedule for the blockchain onboarding, which is great. So people are aware of that. What is generally speaking next for Meta One, Jack, for the year of 2023?
Meta One in Q1. I mean, at the end of Q1, you will not recognize what Meta One is in current form. It will change significantly, right? Because the idea is that we built the foundation in 2022. Now is basically the time we actually differentiate ourselves from everyone else, right? We already started doing like we have built-in dApp stores, right? That I mean, majority of the wallets don't have. I mean, we do a lot of things that, I mean, security is top notch, right? Next is basically adding workflows, right? Then we will actually use our own Sakura blockchain to enhance security for the wallet as well, for example, right? And the part that there's no gas fee is going to be a significant factor in allowing us to actually enable all these security features without, in a way, costing our users money, right? Because just imagine you say, hey, we now have our own blockchain and we can make security even better. But by the way, every time you do something, you have to pay for it. I mean, that's nonsense, right?
No.
So so that's the kind of thing that we want to really like emphasize and change, because I mean, there's so many wallet solution out there that is either, I mean, it costs too much to use, right? Like Matchbing, for example, is very, very expensive for business. And it to the point that, and also the way I see wallets going forward, right? I mean, there's going to be standalone wallet like Meta One, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, and all this. And of course, there's the embedded wallet that's going to like something like Magic Link SDK, right? That some of the projects are using. Now, like, I don't know if anyone tried, but if for those type, the embedded type, every time you go to a dApp, you end up with a new wallet, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're even multiple. So now I don't know how many apps you have on your phone, Taurus. Like
Too
maybe
many.
you have like at least 20, 50, right?
Bare
So
minimum.
imagine all those apps now become Web3 apps. Okay. The problem that is if you have 50 apps, you will have 50 wallets minimum. I mean, how many people even know how to manage like 2, 3 bank accounts right now? Now all of a sudden you ask people to manage all this, right? Now on top of that, if there's gas fee on all this blockchain as well, now you have to send gas fee to like 50 different wallets, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't use it. Also, it's like end up like sitting in this wallet. Now it costs too much to transfer from this wallet to this wallet, so you don't. All of a sudden you have your money kind of like scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
You also don't have visibility because you can't just go to like just Meta one and see across. I mean, I think it's going to be quite a bit of a conversation on like what usability really means, right? Having embedded wallets only just email address and phone number and password, for example. Even that, it has to be implemented the right way, because in the end, everything has to be consumer focused, right? We have to focus on our user first, and making it easier to onboard in a single instance. I mean, it's usable now, but when Web3 really expand and cover wide ranges of use cases, it will become a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be quite a bit of a debate in 2023 on this topic.
Fair enough. Okay. Thank you for breaking it down. Question, Jack. We've released this product called Meta One API. Would you be able to explain to community what that is, and
sure.
What kind of sort of role it plays in AG product ecosystem?
Yeah. So the idea of all these API. Okay. So these are what we call advanced features.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, when you, let's say, use something like MetaMask, right? You only connect with a single wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it could be an Ethereum wallet for a game or for an NFT marketplace, and the developer only have access to that wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean that's fine, but the problem is a lot of these dApps or these games these days, they're actually cross-chain, right?
Yes.
Or some of DeFi protocols are also cross-chain. Now, the problem here is, I mean, if you want to receive benefits, so let's say you have NFT on Polygon, NFT on Ethereum, right? If you want to actually get the benefit from both, you actually have to bridge the asset over, and you all have to move everything into one single wallet, right? So from the user perspective, it was like, what the heck? Now I have to spend money to receive this benefit. So that's why with our wallet, because of our search engine, because the way we're able to correlate all this asset information, with Meta One wallet, you can actually access data cross-chain even if you connect with just one single wallet, right? So let me give you an example in gaming, right? So let's say you have your sword on Solana, you have your helmet on Ethereum, you have your boots on Cardano, right? Even if you just connect to Ethereum wallet, you should be able to use all of them without having to bridge over, right? So there's that one case. Now the second case I typically tell people is credit scores, right?
Okay.
I mean, most people have more than one wallet. And if you just connect one single wallet to do credit score, that's nonsense, because you can just basically, it will never give you full visibility, right? So with Meta One, even if you connect one wallet, and if user give the dApps permission, they can see across, let's say, 50 wallets, right? And all of a sudden, you can access the actual net worth of these users and all the trustworthiness and all these things, because you can see across. That's what Meta One's API is providing. And in the future, we'll actually have a lot more than just this basic blockchain information, right? As we keep expand all these features that we utilize with our own product as well.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. We have a question from the community in the live chat, which is a very reasonable question. And I actually had that thinking about that before. It's a dramatic scenario, but let's talk about it anyway. So imagine you have a wallet and you have multiple digital assets on there, and in the worst case of scenario where you are sadly passing away to whatever reason, are those assets going to be lost, or is there a plan, in sort of Meta One development, that you can somehow grant access to, let's say, your family members or trusted people who would be able to take care of your assets in that sort of dramatic scenario?
Yeah. Yes, and this happened quite a bit. I mean, sadly, this happened as last week to my friend's company. So her lead developer passed away, and now they have no access to the wallet. right? And that should never happen. So for our case, for Meta One, we have a way to recover, right? So I'm not going to go into details on how we do that, but there is a way,
There is
and
a way.
it's already implemented.
Okay, cool. Good question. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's jump in Sakura. Now, Sakura Metaverse. Jack, I'm not going to lie. Despite the fact that I work at AG, I still have this big question because we don't really have the full in detail. So when it comes to Metaverse, we know that there are some really serious, players in the game. You've got Decentraland, you've got Sandbox. There was a lot of projects out there. How could probably thousands of them? How come AG has decided to create a Metaverse? And being frank and honest, how is that going to be any different? Because we see the use cases of Metaverse is great, but then when it comes to users, they go there and they there's not a lot to do and whatnot. So what are we doing with the Sakura Metaverse? Would you be able to sort of just break it down?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to just the basic principle on what we're trying to do, right?
Okay.
And I mean, like you said, I mean, there's 20,000 metaverses out there right now, and majority are failing. Like some of them, they don't even have like a single user sometime per day, right? And I think, I mean, if the number is correct, as what Sandbox is claiming, they got to about 39,000 MAU at one point, right? But still, that is like nothing compared to, let's say, a game like Fall Guy, which I think has about 10 million daily active users, right? So it's still very minimal. So now the approach that we take, there's actually two parts in with this metaverse, right? First part is the business layer. What we're trying to do is let me take a step back. So the concept, what I understand metaverse can be broken down to basically three different things, right? So first is the velocity of data that you're receiving is much faster, right? So what I mean by that is, so typically let's say if I don't know who you are, Taurus, right? I would have to basically pick up my phone. I would have to type in your name if I know how to even spell your name or my own last name, right? Sometimes.
Probably not.
Then if I'm lucky, then it will come out as a search results, right? Now, in the future with AR, for example, I should just look at your face and it will tell me right there who you are, right? So that's what I mean by velocity. Now, the second part is the medium is more fluid. There's many more ways, right, for you to receive data. It could be real world sensor, it could be a screen, it could be AR, VR, or whatever else will come in the future, right? And the third part, everything will be gamified, right? So now the gamification is not everything becoming a game. It's just basically it's really a concept of CRM, right? I mean, you basically do something, you incentivize to do something, so you receive the benefit. Okay, and that's why, because of the third part, a lot of time people say that Asia will basically take off first because literally everything is already gamified, right? I mean, like I'm from Thailand, and people in Thailand go to a restaurant just because their credit card tell them, hey, if you go there, you get 10% off, right? Even though I didn't really know that restaurant, or maybe didn't even want to go, right? So yeah. So now let's get back to the Sakura part. So there's two parts that we're working on. First is basically the business layer, right? Because we want to connect basically metaverse, even like in real world and virtual world, to all these different businesses. Because the idea is that we have to build the groundwork again. Now we're building the foundation for metaverses, right? The idea is it should be very, very cheap, very low risk, and not time consuming for any business to actually make an attempt to be a part of metaverse. Right. So that's the first basic principle. The second part is what I think is wrong with a lot of these other metaverses is that they tend to focus first. I mean, I'm talking specifically about Web3 metaverses. Okay, Web2 metaverses are actually better because they focus on activities and they are purpose specific. In Web3, where everything is based on, I mean, you have to first buy a land, or you can get some grants and get the land, and then they allow you to imagine all this, right? So the problem is the primary developers who only develop the framework for everyone to build, they don't actually generate their own meaningful content, right? So when they have to rely on someone else to go and imagine, right? Imagine like you have a bank like HSBC, and they come in and say, hey, you have this piece of land, go ahead, build something that come and attract your users, right? Or your customers. I mean, that doesn't quite work because not every business understand what they want to do. So what we're trying to explore there, and I mean, first what we're trying to do is we're going to generate all these different activities that attract a lot of users. When there's a lot of users, business will come, right? Then the next part is we will be working with a lot of different industry leaders to kind of help define and also discover what metaverse is and what Web3 in general also mean to different businesses. So let's say if you own a flower shop, right? What does it mean to you? If you own a restaurant, if you're a farmer, right? Or if you're a bank, and right now it's too early in certain industries, right? I mean, even for banking, it's very hard for me to imagine what can a bank really do in the metaverse, right? Because I mean, I talk to some people who say, hey, okay, people just gonna go into the bank in the metaverse and they just gonna go and interact with people to withdraw money. I mean, if it's not innovative or more efficient, why do it, right? Because with the bank case, I can pull out your phone, I might pull out my phone and transfer money within 20 seconds, right? So is there a need for metaverse? At least not for that specific purpose, right? So it has to be purposeful, and it has to be something you can't do in the real world right now, in physical world, or even digital online, or it just need to be more efficient. So so I mean, I can't, and I think you will have to wait until maybe a few more weeks when we probably can show something.
Talk about it,
But
I can see you withholding information, but
kind of have to because don't want any copycat too early.
Understandable. Jack, we got a question from the community in regards to the gaming side of the metaverse. So community is asking, will it be possible to build events and tournaments in Sakura Metaverse? And is that something that is going to...
yes, by default, that's what it's going to be. The very first thing, there'll be some kind of tournament concept, yes. And at the same time, even if we don't have the feature, we can work with some of our partners like community gaming and all those types to make it happen. But yes, the idea is it's very interactive, very social, and even if there's only like 100 people in the metaverse, there'll be 1 million people watching. And I'm again not going to go into how we're doing that. So
fair enough. And when can community expect to see the launch of Sakura Metaverse, Jack?
Right now, what we aiming for is to show something probably towards like end of Q1, early Q2. So we're working very hard with our partners right now, and we have great partners, right? They are very specialized in open world building, and Agate is the largest game studio in Indonesia, right? Very large team. They have a team of I think 250 or 300 people, and we actually working closely with them. Like I actually had a call with them earlier today. Like really cool, good work coming out there so far, and our other partners as well, like Theo will help us on the technology side, infrastructure, and Gus Cloud, very awesome team managing. Basically, they have platforms to manage influencers around the world with tons and tons of. I think last count I seen was about 105,000 influencers that they connected to. So like amazing partners we're working with, and let's see how it goes.
Well, that gives a lot of confidence. Great stuff. Before we jump into the Sakura blockchain, we have a really good question from the live chat in regards to the Meta One. Does Meta One have an evaluation assurance level rating yet? Apparently, it helps to promote trust, and wallet has that a wallet that has been audited and is secure, safe to use, and many users check your wallet ratings. Basically,
So the way we get it rated right now, so yes. So we have at 2 level, right? So even all our partners are basically already get audited. And when we get audited, because we're focusing on getting adopted by enterprise and government, right? There's this certification called SOC 2, right? And there's also ISO 27001. We basically in the middle of getting certification for that right now for some of the layers, the recent software we built. In terms of the actual blockchain security foundation, it's already gone through all that, right? So it's already SOC 2 compliant, and when SOC 2 compliant is actually even more strict than, let's say, smart contract audit, right? Because smart contract audit, they don't audit your company. They only look at your contract. But with SOX 2, I mean, I really hate going through SOX 2 because they literally kind of dictate how your company runs, but it's for the best, right? I mean, let's say you go to a coffee shop, you need to actually do a certain thing, otherwise you're not compliant, right? Because your laptop can be snatched away and all those things. So I mean, it get to that level. And the way we deal with code review, everything, the way we communicate in the company, communicate with third party data, everything, right? So it's a process that it would take probably 3 to 6 months. And we're going through that right now. So once we get there, I mean, you can feel safe that we do absolutely everything properly. Otherwise, we cannot get it, right? And then we continue to get audit all the time. So for us right now, we're going to SOX 2 Type 1, and then and then towards the end of this year, this year we'll probably go through SOX 2 Type 2 as well.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks, Chuck. We have a very good question. So it's been mentioned that Meta 1 is enterprise level vault. Would you be able to explain what does that mean?
So basically, if you understand what is being provided right now to consumers, like MetaMask and all this, right? And then you have on the enterprise side where companies level, like including AAC, right? I mean, with AAC, when the way we manage our asset with our treasury, we actually use an enterprise vault where there's all this workflow. So for example, for our payroll, right? So the way it works is our HR department will submit the payroll to the finance department. Finance department would then initiate the transaction, which then get approved by our HR, and then basically one of the exec has to approve, right? So everything has workflow. Now the security level as well. So it's either MPC, it could be VSS, Triple S, and all these different security grade that, I mean, for enterprise users, they haven't had to manage their own seed phases for so long now.
Yeah.
Why is it that we're so forcing people at the consumer level to basically have to manage their own security, even if they're kids, right? It doesn't make any sense. So what Meta 1 really is, well, Meta 1 is a lot more than a wallet, but the part that is a wallet, what I would say the easiest way to explain it is that it's an enterprise grade wallet for consumer.
Right.
Okay. So whatever feature that actually being offered to all these large companies that managing a lot of money, I mean, why not bring it to consumers? That's the idea.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Jack, right? I see one question that I want to. Sorry, please.
No, go ahead. Okay. So another thing is like fraud detection, AML, and also like scam detection, all those as well. A lot of those actually available to this enterprise company. So all those as well will be available for, actually already available to consumer, right? For example, if you're not aware that, let's say Solana wallet address is Kansas, it will warn you.
Yeah.
So that you don't make a mistake like I did.
I wanted to say, I remember you were telling a story that you lost quite a bit of money just because the keyboard wasn't working. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I talked to the general manager of one of the largest crypto company 2 weeks ago. He didn't even know either. I mean, and we've both been around for like years. So I mean, like that kind of thing should never happen anymore. It's 2023. It's crazy, right? Ridiculous. So I mean, if you've been using Meta 1 wallet, right, you will see once you send transaction to, let's say, to a wallet, and you're trying to send again, it will tell you that, oh, by the way, you did this before, so most likely this is safe, right? Now, if you're trying to send to an empty wallet, it's like, oh, by the way, this wallet is empty. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you did not. Maybe you want to double check. It's all about prevention, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been talking about providing insurance for crypto asset. I mean, if you get to that point, it's too late. You might be able to recover some, so it's better than nothing. But we should not allow people to be able to make these mistakes, right? Yeah. Just because they didn't know.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I mean, overall, that's why I think it's gonna really change the game for a lot of people. Make feel more comfortable to really come into Web3.
Okay, cool. Thanks. We're running out of time, but we have quite a few topics to discuss. So, Jack, let's touch base on Sakura blockchain. Would you be able to explain to the community what's that about and how is that going to be affecting the AG product ecosystem?
Yeah. So first of all, there's a reason why it hasn't been announced officially. We still have an embargo on that, and for other reasons, but I can touch a little bit on that part.
Yeah.
So the main idea is we want to make sure that like application or this decentralized application can develop application the way they want it, not the way that they're restricted by how current blockchain works, like with gas fee, for example. Just imagine, right? Typically, I mean, when you talk about blockchain gaming, like, have you ever seen any games out there that only like deal with data that only with payment, right? I mean, most of these games right now, there's only two components that they use on chain, like that go on chain, right? It's NFT and payment. That should not be the way, right?
Yeah.
So then people say, hey, why don't you use something like Solana where the gas fee is very low, or like Harmony, right? But the problem there is you still have to have gas fee, even if it's like 0.000.1 cents. If you're a new user coming on board, right? And the first thing there's like, hey, you can mint your first NFT. It's like, okay, what do I need? And then it's like, oh, you need to go and buy some at least like one Solana coin, right? It's like, okay, then I'm not gonna do it now because I don't have it. Right? That should never happen. So the experiences are ruined because of blockchain, actually, right? So people say that it's, I mean, play to own is a great concept, right? But the thing is, it has to be done right. Because even when you play to own, now you can say, okay, games can basically just send an empty to your wallet. But that's also a problem there because now the games have to basically show the responsibility, right? And some of them do not want to. So by eliminating the gas fee and using our permission chain, circular blockchain, it basically solved from that one part. And then another thing that this blockchain will also do is allow games to actually design that entity a little bit differently, right? So if you understand programming languages like Java, there's a concept of private, protected, and public, right? So now you can design your asset so that it can live in only just for your game, or a certain asset can also come out, right? And there could be multiple reasons for that. Like for example, in-game currency, I mean, there's no point having it outside, for example, so it stays inside, right? So now, don't know what we're going to do with it, but we already have, I mean, we've been talking to quite a few projects, and I work on 6 different grant applications for these projects already. One already got approved, right? So towards the end of this month, I think you gonna start hearing more about some of these.
Joining the Sakura universe. The Sakura
I mean,
verse, sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've been busy onboarding projects. So
yeah, that's very cool. Very exciting. Cool, Jack. Very search engine. You know, the basic question, and very important to understand. Is this like Google, and where does it come into play when it comes to our products?
So from the very beginning, I basically start working on this search engine, right? And with some of our team members. And it really comes down to that, I mean, there's just a lack of infrastructure in general, right? I mean, until recently, there was no search engine where you can say, hey, if I have a wallet, what asset do I have? What NFT do I have, right? In one go. And that's why MetaMask did not provide asset discovery for a long time. You just don't know what you have, right?
Yeah.
Until you add your own smart contract. And then now that they support, but there's still a problem, because if you don't even know if you have asset on, let's say, BSC, because you never actually go and add RPC for BSC, you still don't know that you have all this asset, right? So it's very silly. It's like you have money, but you don't know, right? Now there's problem like, let's say, with South Korea with the new law where you have to declare your asset within 90 days or you get a penalty, right? So there's just all sorts of issues with visibility in general, and it's supposed to be blockchain. So because of that, we basically built out this cross-chain search engine, right, to support our own operation. And then the general idea is that we'll start merging in Web3 data to real-world data or Web2 data, right, to make it more useful. And when we build all this out, we know that every single one of our product will need this. And that's how it works right now. Literally, via search engine is literally one of the foundational pieces to allow MetaOne to work, right? To allow our other product, which I can't mention yet, to also work. And pretty much every product in the future will use this search engine, right? And soon in the future, we also we expose this out to our partners so that they can use it as well.
Okay, cool. We have 10 minutes left, and I really want to touch base on AG Academy. I've seen actually a question in the live chat asking, are we planning to educate our community members about Web3? Well, actually, we've been doing that for quite a few months now. And please join our Discord to see the whole action, what is going on there. We have multiple events going on every single week in different countries as well. So I'm sure you're going to find that useful. So Jack, AG Academy. We got very fair question. AG Academy was not on the original roadmap initially. How come? Why? It's a massive piece. Why did AG decided to do that and pursue, to launch this product?
I mean, education is everything, right? It doesn't matter which industry, what you do, you need to educate people, especially when it's a new industry or new technology like blockchains, right? Now, but one thing that, I mean, because I've been involved in finance and a lot of different industries, right? The very, like when I look at this problem, it's not really a Web3 education problem. It's actually just finance in general. Most people don't understand basic finance, and now all of a sudden you throw in this decentralized finance concept at them, right? They'd be like, okay, that's great, but how do I save money? How do I earn interest? What does compounding interest mean, right? Or it just doesn't work. That's why we basically when we first discussing about AG Academy, right? And AG Academy is not a new concept. It's actually been there. I mean, and we originally talk about the learn and earn and all these things, right? I mean, in some way, it does not translate directly to AG Academy, but we know that education is one of the best defense, right? And that's why we even call it a secure layer for Meta One. Because when you're not sure about something or when you want to use new technology, you can go to AG Academy and then learn about it first so that you be informed to make better decision. Right? So it's our basically kind of last line of defense. If everything else fail, you know that something might be off, and that's let you stop yourself, right? So with AG Academy, I mean, our approach is actually very, very interesting, I think. For us, everything needs to be actionable. I mean, there has to be an end result, right? And I mean, people might say there's like Binance Academy. There's all so many academies out there, right? What's the difference between us and them?
Exactly.
I mean, first point is, I mean, basic finance is one thing that we also focus, which the rest they don't, right? I mean, you can go and read some other non-Web3 platform about all that, but why not collect them in one? Now, basic, and then another part is that we want to make sure that there's an end purpose. So let's say if you're someone who want to get involved in Web3, right? I mean, you could be someone who's very experienced in Web2, but you want to get in. Now you could be in different tracks, right? So let's say you have been working in like customer service and all that, and now you want to get join as community service, right? Now we're gonna start like showing people, okay, if you want to do this X or Y in Web3, this is your track, right? So we'll package all these different content so that you can follow, right? Now you want to be, if you're a developer in Web2 and you want to come to Web3, right? This is what you might want to know. So we provide all this track, and in the future we look to provide certification as well, right? Because if we have all this quality content, and which our team has been awesome at curating and creating this content, right? Then in the future, if we think that and we will get opinions from other sources as well. If you get through, let's say, our courses that we provide with AG Academy, right? You should earn that certificate, which you can potentially gain. Say, hey, by the way, I went through these courses. I did this, and this. I passed through this test. Now you have some level of credential when you go and apply for a job, right? So it's I mean, a lot of these we've been thinking about. We working, talking to universities and other institutions as well. On like how we gonna basically bring in more people from Web2 to Web3, because I mean, I think in industry as a whole, like, and us as part of it, we all need to collectively provide knowledge to people who don't know, so that we can actually grow. Because Web3 right now is so tiny, and when I say Web3, I don't count people who just invest, right? With people who have not touched anything, let's say through smart contract and all that. A lot of them, they've just been in Coinbase. They never even have their self-custody wallet, right? So those are not really Web3. So the
Yeah.
Web3 right now is probably like 1.1% of world population.
Yeah.
So the market is huge.
Ginormous. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great stuff. One question. Sort of in the about AG section that we have, it's been mentioned that AG is exploring Learn to Earn initiative. So would you just say that AG Academy is that sort of product that is exploring the space of Learn to Earn, or somehow will feed it into that mission?
That's just one part. So in some way, every product that we have, right, excluding all these API for enterprise, right, there'll be some educational component in some way. Now, what does earn mean to you? I mean, to most people in Web3, earning mean earning crypto, right? But for us, it's gone beyond. It has to go beyond that, right?
Yeah.
Even earning certification, that is earning something, right? Earning benefit, earning access to something. These are all earning concepts. So why stop at why does it have to be money, right? It could be an opportunity, it could be a job, it could be a job placement, it could be internship, it could be anything, right? So again, it's come down to gamification, right? You incentivize someone to do something to their benefit or whatever that is they're looking for at that point.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Jack, we have a question about AG token. Very interesting question. Can you guys sum up some of the use cases for AEG just to clear that for community? Just a short list without details.
Use cases for the token?
Yes, for AG token, yes.
Okay. I mean, it will provide benefit in all of our products, right? So, I mean, from the API, for example, it can be used for payments. And if you have certain amount of AG token, you'll receive benefit in Meta One Wallet in the near future, right? I can't specify what yet, but again, so pretty much everything you do, any asset that we issue, again, whether it's token, our NFT, and in the future, we may also issue additional NFT as well for certain specific purpose, right? And everything that we issue, whether it's token, NFT, will all be utilities, token and utilities NFT. So by themselves, they basically will be used for transaction, will be used for smart contract, they will be used for benefit and all sorts of things. So yeah, I mean,
there's going to be a lot of cases.
You'll see a lot more in the near future.
That's fair enough. And talking, you mentioned NFTs. So we've released Genesis NFTs, I think, just shortly after the IDO, or within the a quarter from the IDO. Is there any plans to extend the utility of Genesis NFTs, or are they going to remain, as a capital boost for the staking program? And what is the future for the Genesis NFTs? Is the question.
We have quite a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, just can't go into the specific.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I hope that by the end of 2023, there's 10 different ways to use the Genesis NFT.
Okay, good. We had a couple of just general questions, and we have a couple of minutes. So I just want to close down with one of the ones that I found just interesting. And generally speaking, Jack, do you think that crypto and Web3 is for everyone? Can we include old people so they can enjoy crypto and Web3 worlds as well? It's a fair enough question.
Yeah, of course. I think, I mean, if you think Web3 is the next internet, it has to. Basically, anyone should be able to use it. Like, that's why we focus on usability and safety for everyone, right? And when we say that we want to make sure that even 6-year-old kid can use our wallet, we're not kidding, because we know that in the future, when everything become, I mean, if Web3 become the next internet, when kids go to school, learn all these things, I mean, when they use their iPad for doing whatever they're learning, all these things, right? It may touch the Web3 component in some way. And that's why we need to make sure that, and that, it's 2023 has to go in a way of, I mean, all these existing wallet, right? I would say they were built for developers. They were not built for mainstream user at all.
That's the
right?
feeling. Yeah.
That has to shift, because if that doesn't shift, I mean, then you never get to mainstream adoption. And my personal prediction is that by end of 2024, the MetaMask of the world and all those type the hardware wallets, for example, that will be become the niche. And there will be probably less than 20% of the people that will still use them, right? And it's only people who really know, and people who, for whatever reason, are super paranoid. And I hope that they know how to manage their seed phrases, because I mean, they're just, I mean, so many different ways to really screw up. I mean, if you saw the tweet from CC, he actually predicting that 99% of people who use non-custodial wallet will screw up at some point. And I agree. I don't know about 99%, but it would be quite high when you talk about lifetime usage, right? Let's say you all use over 10 years. I mean, I screw up. I can't even count anymore. It happens.
It happens, eh? To the best of us. Okay, fair enough. Cool. Thanks a lot, Jack. Really appreciate it. We're hitting 1 hour mark, and I know you have stuff to do. So just wanted to take a moment to thank you for joining us and answering community's questions. And for all the people who are listening, this session is recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. And to the questions that have been shared with us in the chat but have not been answered, we're going to answer them and publish on our blog. So yeah. Massive thank you, Jack. Best of luck, and yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce, and thanks for everyone who joined us today as well. Hope you learned a lot and got your your question answers. And if not, feel free to drop by on Discord or Telegram. We're always going to be there.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Much appreciated. Have a good day.